Was good, y'all? We are just 2 short weeks away from the NBA playoffs, and I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited and super ready for the playoffs to start. And right before they did, I figured I'd come out here and talk about 4 teams that I'm either buying or selling stock in. And before we get into it, I do want to leave a reminder here, if you guys are not already subscribed, to make sure you subscribe right now. I'm going to be dropping a whole bunch of videos coming up, playoff predictions, my award winners, even throughout the playoffs, I'm going to be talking about all the different series and stuff. You guys do not want to miss out, so make sure you subscribe. Now, the first team that I am going to be buying stock in is the Dallas Mavericks. Funny enough, I made a similar video like this where I was buying some stock right after the All-Star break, and I bought some Dallas Mavericks stock, and I'm keep buying it, man. Keep bringing it to me. The standings are so close out west that it's almost impossible to figure out where the Mavericks are going to land or even who they're going to be versing in the playoffs. But I really do think that this roster is a dark horse contender team that could really make a run in the Western Conference. Whenever you have a player like Luka Doncic on your roster in the playoffs, no matter who you're going against, you have a chance to win that game, win that series, whatever it is, go on a run. And I've talked about it a few times on the channel, but the MVP race is super close this year. Last time I talked about it, I said that Jokic was my MVP, but Luka Doncic was second, because at the time the Mavericks were a play-in team. They were, I think, like the 7 or 8 seed. But I did say, Luka, you're having an amazing season. If you work some wins out, get your team a little bit higher in the standings, get up to that 5-4 seed, you could probably win that MVP. And don't look now, but the Dallas Mavericks are the 5th seed. Luka's MVP candidacy, it really writes itself. He's putting up numbers of 34 points per game, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. And the biggest thing for me is his three-point shot. We all know Luka can drive to the basket, he can get to the free throw line, he can post up, he can get to the mid-range. The biggest thing was his step-back three. He always was sitting around like 35-36% on that. This season, he's jumped all the way up to 38% on over 10 attempts per game. Unreal. And with him shooting that good from 3, it makes him even harder to guard because you legitimately cannot give up anything with Luka. Not a single thing. And even if teams throw the house at Luka, they send the double, the triple, the quadruple team, whatever it is, they really want to get the ball out of Luka's hands. 1, obviously he's a great passer, he's going to find the open man. But 2, they have another unguardable player on their team in Kyrie Irving. I feel like Kyrie is having a pretty underrated season. I know he wasn't really in All-Star talks. He was hurt a little bit towards the beginning of the season. But now he's back healthy and playing amazing basketball. He really still is that All-Star caliber player. On the season, he's averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on almost 50, 40, 90. Again, with Kyrie, the efficiency is always going to be elite. And just like I was saying with Luka, Kyrie can get to the basket. He can get into his mid-range spots. He can shoot from 3, both off the dribble and off the catch. I don't really see many teams having the perimeter defense to be able to keep up with both Luka and Kyrie. Especially when it comes to the fourth quarter, both of these guys are 2 of the best fourth quarter scorers in the entire league and the best duo. They're both averaging 6.7 points per game in the fourth quarter, which is tied for 10th. They are the only 2 teammates in the top 10, even the top 15. They're really on a whole nother echelon when you talk about closers in the NBA, and they both are on the same team. But it's not just their backcourt that's going to give teams problems in the playoffs, because at the trade deadline, as we all know, they bolstered up their front court, and now they legitimately have one of the better front courts in the NBA. Of course, you have Daniel Gafford, who's giving them great production, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 75% from the field. Of course, he had that stretch where he almost broke Wilt Chamberlain's most consecutive field goals made record. He was, I think, either just like 1 or 2 shots short. He's just the perfect big to run alongside Luka Doncic. He sets the pick, he rolls, he jumps up, gets the lob, and dunks it every single time. It's like that. The offensive glass, he's there as well. And then defensively, he's also averaging 2.7 stocks per game. He's going to be out there and be active in the passing lanes, blocking shots. He's a really high energy center. And again, I think he's perfect to sit next to Luka. And you can't forget about the rookie Dereck Lively either. He puts up very similar numbers to Daniel Gafford. 9 points and 7 rebounds. Again, 75% from the field. Those guys gotta thank Luka for that. Those perfect dimes off the lobs or off the pick and roll. He puts it up on the platter, and these guys just finish the play and get the points. Again, also on defense too, Dereck Lively is putting up 2.1 stocks per game. They also traded for PJ Washington, who's been struggling a little bit on the offensive side, but he also gives them some of that size in the front court that they were looking for, and more specifically at that power forward spot. He's given them 6 rebounds, almost 2 stocks per game as well, defending, competing, getting those rebounds, and again, just giving them size. I think that was the biggest reason they needed him. They also have a bunch of wings that are super athletic, can play defense, can shoot. They got a lot of versatility on this roster, and I really do like it. And again, you can't really predict who they're going to match up against with everything so tight in the standings. But if they verse the Clippers, I mean, Luka's got a history against the Clippers going off. They'll make that a series for sure. The Pelicans, that would be a series. Even OKC, since they're so inexperienced. I think there's a lot of different matchups that could go in the Mavs' favor, so I'm buying a lot of their stock. So we just bought some stock, now we have to sell some off. And this one, it really pains me. My heart is breaking when I do this, but I gotta sell some of my New York Knicks stock. Now, if you guys have seen the videos or follow me on Twitter, you know I'm a big New York Knicks fan, especially a Julius Randle fan. Shout out to Julius, man. That's part of the reason why I'm selling some of this stock, is because Julius Randle got announced that he's missing the entire season. He's getting some surgery on his shoulder that dislocated back in January. It was crushing, man. I was kind of expecting Julius to not be back, but it still crushed me. Now, just because Julius is out for the season, that doesn't mean that I think the Knicks are just going to flame out and lose in the first round. You know, I think as long as OG is back, which he is probable for the Bulls game later tonight, I don't know, but you guys will know if he played or not. But for me, I'm not sure yet. But as long as they get OG back, I do think that they could still win a playoff series, be competitive in the second round. But without Julius, their ceiling falls significantly. I'm gonna be honest, I know I'm a Knicks fan, call me biased if you want, but I wholeheartedly, in a objective view, thought the Knicks could maybe win the championship this season. It would be hard to get past Boston. It would be hard to get past whoever actually makes it in the Western Conference, but I think they at least had a shot. Without Julius now, though, I think the best, absolute best case scenario is making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, Jalen Brunson has been terrific, but it really has just been Jalen Brunson for a lot of this stretch without Julius and without OG. In the 27 games since Julius went down, Jalen is averaging 30 points and 7 assists on 47% from the field. Again, great production. He is trying his hardest. But you can't just put out one player out there and be like, all right, beat us. Because teams are keying into that, and now they're sending double, triple, blitzing him on pick and rolls, really trapping him whenever they get the chance. They are saying anyone else on this Knicks team beat us, it's not going to be Jalen Brunson. And when it comes to the playoffs, I think teams are going to double and triple down on that and throw everything in the kitchen sink at Jalen Brunson to make sure the ball gets out of his hands. And if that's the case, the Knicks are just going to have to rely on their role players to really outplay their role, and I don't know if that could really be sustainable in a playoff series. Now, the Knicks have had guys step up and really play incredibly, like Donte DiVincenzo, who in this stretch has been averaging 21 points per game while shooting 38% from 3 on over 12 attempts a game. Insane numbers from Donte. Shout out to him. He's been great. But in a playoff series, teams are going to be honing more into on that. Same thing goes with Josh Hart, who has been a triple-double machine. He's been having a near triple-double almost every single game, it feels like, putting up 12 points per game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. But again, teams are going to be doing everything to get the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands and force these guys to win games for them. And I love these guys. I love Donte. I love Josh Hart. But I don't think they can win playoff games for the Knicks. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. You guys know I'm a Knicks fan. I want them to win the championship and everything. But I just got to sell a little bit of my stock in them. Moving on to the next team that I'm buying stock in, it is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not going to lie, earlier in the season, I was really close to saying I'm done with the Lakers. I thought that there's no way that they're going to be able to repeat what they did last season. I'm done. They're going to lose the play-in, whatever. I'm out. I was wrong, though. I got reeled right back in. I don't know how he keeps doing this, but at the age 39, LeBron James is having one of the most efficient seasons of his entire career. 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists while shooting 54% from the field and 42% from 3. I did not misspeak there. 42% from 3. That's a career high from Bron in season 21. You guys know I'm a LeBron fan and I'm gonna want him to win for as long as he's in the league. I truthfully thought it was down and out with LeBron, that it's over. He's really gonna just kind of ride off into the sunset. But man, he is looking better than ever this season. I think he could go, if he wanted, can play for another 10 years. He's not going to, but if he wanted, he could. He's still one of the best at finishing at the rim. We've already mentioned his three-point shot that's improved. In the mid-range, he has been killer his entire career. The playmaking is there. We know in the playoffs, he becomes a whole nother monster as well. I'm never selling my hope on LeBron James. He's just been on another planet this season offensively, and when you look to the other side of the floor on defense, you can just shift your view over to Anthony Davis, who has been on another world defensively. I've said it before, but I really do think that Anthony Davis is the best defensive player in the entire NBA. I really value versatility on defense, and when you talk versatility, Anthony Davis is at the top of the list. Of course, he is an elite rim protector, but he also can play in space and guard the perimeter. He can recover, guard the pick and roll, play help defense. He literally can do it all on defense. He's putting up 13 rebounds per game, almost 2.5 blocks, and over a full steal per game as well. But he is not just a defensive anchor. Of course, on offense, he can do his own as well. 25 points per game while shooting 55% from the field. Again, with those two as your duo, you're looking amazing. It's not just those two on the Lakers, though. They do have some very high-level role players surrounding them. Starting off with D'Angelo Russell, who, post-trade rumors, D'Lo, he has been amazing. But on the season as a whole, he has been playing really, really well as well, giving them much-needed offense and shooting. He's putting up 18 points per game with 6 assists, while also shooting over 42% from 3 on 7 attempts per game. One of the Lakers' most high-volume three-point shooters. He also gives them that secondary ball handler. When LeBron's not really running the show, they can dump it over to D'Lo and let him do his thing with the offense. Another guy that they can do that with is Austin Reeves. He's having another productive season, 16 points per game with 6 assists as well, while shooting 48% from the field. What I like most about Austin is his ability to put pressure on the rim. He's really good at getting to the rim and then finishing when he gets there. He can also pop off in the mid-range a little bit. And again, just like D'Lo, he can also be used as that secondary ball handler. And last but not least, I want to give a quick shout out to Rui Hachimura, who has been absolutely incredible and super underrated for the Lakers, if you ask me. He's putting up 13 points, 4 rebounds with the efficiencies that are out of this world. 54% from the field and 42% from 3. Shout out to Rui, because he takes a lot of jump shots, and to be shooting that efficiently on the season is really impressive. And the last team that I'm going to be selling stock in is the Sacramento Kings. This one also pains me, not as much as the Knicks, obviously, but coming into the season, I had faith in the Kings. I said that they were going to repeat their success of last season, and I'm pretty sure I had them as like the 5th seed or something. They are not bad. They've fallen all the way down to the 8th seed into the play-in tournament, and they are just 1 loss ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers. By the time you guys see this, they would have already played the Boston Celtics. Anything could happen, but chances are the Celtics are going to win that game, which means they would be tied with the Lakers. They would still have the tiebreaker, though, so they'd stay at the 8, but if they, fall into that 9th seed, then they have to win 2 play-in games to make the playoffs. It could get really, really rough. And I think they have a really good chance of falling into that 9th seed, unfortunately, because they have a pretty tough schedule coming up. They just came off a loss to the New York Knicks. Like I said, by the time you guys see this, they would have already played the Boston Celtics. Then coming up, they have OKC, the Pelicans, and the Phoenix Suns. Those are 5 really, really tough games to finish off your season. But even if they do win their play-in games and they make the playoffs, they're going to be matched up now against one of the top teams in the league, against either Denver or maybe even OKC or Minnesota. All 3 very tough matchups. And then if you add in the fact that they are now without Malik Monk and without Kevin Huerter, it's even tougher. Malik Monk is a 6th Man of the Year finalist. If you ask me, he is the winner. You can't really replace that production off your bench or even just for your team and your offense in a blink of an eye like that. It's going to be a big hit, and we've seen that recently without him. And then with Kevin Huerter, I know he's been having a down year shooting, but it's still Kevin Huerter. Teams are going to close out hard against him, and it just adds extra spacing for the Kings, for De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis to operate down low in the paint. And I do hate to do this because I like Sabonis. I think he is super underrated and overhated, but it's looking like they are really at risk of missing the playoffs as a whole. What do you guys think, though? Are you with me? Are you buying or selling any of these teams' stocks? If not, what teams are you buying and selling? Make sure you leave it down low in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.